Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station, 1320 AM WARA, and online, all one word, 4deepsportstalk.com. We have a special host with us today, Jim Sylvia. I got him out of retirement a little bit. He's going to help us out with this interview today. And, of course, my intern, Jacob Janicki from Franklin Pierce. And we have the distinct pleasure across from me, as you can see him, he is not a host. He is our guest, and he is a new football coach over at Attleboro, Lamont Penn. And I think we drilled you enough in the lobby, Coach, so you have an idea how the show is going to go. But if you could just educate us before the guys, I know they have some great questions. Could you just educate us on where you grew up, your high school, college background, semi-pro background, and what got you into coaching?
Yes. So I grew up in Stoughton, played for the Pop Warner team, the Raiders, out there until about 9th grade. And then my freshman season, I transferred to Brockton, where I played 3 years as a varsity starter, won a Super Bowl in 2004. So then after that, went straight to semi-pro. Played that for about 10 to 12 years. Within that, meeting connections, got introduced into coaching. So from there, after coaching, I started off at the Junior Boxers in Brockton as an unlimited head coach. Moved to Franklin, the Panthers there. Coached there for a few years, and then eventually got my high school opportunity at Norwood. So once I went to Norwood, stayed there about 3 years. Got an opportunity to work at Bridgewater Rainham and was there for about 6 years, and then ended up landing this job.
Wow, that's a pretty good resume.
That's yeah.
That's all right.
But yeah, you said you made the jump from high school to semi-pro. What was the jump like? What was how was the diff like? What was
Yeah, it was a learning experience. Especially coming out of high school, you're thinking you're at a certain level and you're ready for everything, and reality checks that there's some grown men out there that can play some football. So it was definitely a learning curve. Just even growing up wise, learning some life lessons and stuff like that. So it was a good jump. It was a weird transition, but it was fun.
Coach, as far as high school experience coaching, you've been an assistant 2 different places for a long time. How's that going to translate into you being a new varsity coach and trying to start or continue a program which is pretty well established already, but you want to put your own take on it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I've learned over those years is you're never at the point of mastery. You always want to sit there and try to achieve it, strive for it. So just learning the ins and outs about how to run a program, a successful program, learn from a lot of different people, been around a lot of good coaches. So definitely take a little bit of everything and then mix it and make it my own.
Yep, putting your own stamp on it,
yes,
so to speak.
508-222-1320 if you want to call and have a question for Coach Penn. He's been around. He has a pretty good resume. He's high school Super Bowl champion, and you can tell in your eyes you are dying to get on the sidelines or even get into a practice. And still, what you had the pleasure of learning from your high school coaches, from your semi-pro coaches, right?
Yes.
And I think that's awesome. Again, I told you we're going to jump around, so I'm going to get these 2 gentlemen. I'm probably going to get in their way, but I'm apologizing in advance.
No problem.
You're the boss, Dom. You're not going to get in anybody's way.
Well, hey, my mother still taught me a little bit of manners, so no matter what I'm doing. So let's talk about condition. How important is condition? Do you think that's overlooked?
I think it's not really overlooked, where it's more or less it's a thing that you have to do. Everybody knows to play a grueling season takes a lot out of you, and you have to prepare your body. If you're not preparing your body the right way, you're not going to be successful. So I think condition is, a standard of everybody knows it needs to get done, and it's just how you go about doing it. Everybody has a different way, but there's no right way, there's no wrong way. I think it's just not seeing what works for you.
Obviously, it's not just conditioning your body, it's mentally as well.
Exactly.
Football is a grueling sport, like you said. Very hard on not just the physicality of the game, but the mental part of the game, where if your heads are not right, you're not in the right place, not in the right frame of mind, it's going to be even more difficult.
Exactly.
Once the game stops.
So you're coming from a pretty good school, Bridgewater Rainham, coming off an 8-4 season, 7-2 in your last 9. So good stretch there. What are you planning to bring from like your past coaching experience? What are you planning to bring to your new school as the head coach?
I think the one thing I've learned especially was the way you prepare yourself, the way you have to prepare for games, how the way you have to prepare yourself for practice, and just getting ready, getting for the school, school day, and just how you kind of show kids how to get to that point where they can be successful at all these things at the same time, because preparation is everything. And then the physicality of it. The more you're prepared, the faster you could play, the more you less thinking you take out the game. So I think that's a key. And just learning how to structure your meetings and stuff like that is where I really try to emulate what's going on in it now.
So, to go off Jake's question, what was one of the biggest things you learned from at least Coach Bain?
The biggest thing I learned from him was just that you never know everything. There's always opportunity to learn, even as a coach. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned from him, because, him coming in, we had a past relationship out in Franklin that we knew each other. We never really crossed paths that much, but once we finally got together, and I think he just opened up my eyes as far as, the world of football even more. So it kind of gave me another love for the game.
That's pretty good.
You said about you can always learn, which is true no matter what profession you're in. You can always get better yourself and learn different aspects. How do you think you're going to differ from the previous head coach to yourself as far as system-wise, offensively, defensively? I'm sure you want to put your own tweaks on things.
Yeah, as far as the difference between me and the coaches, every coach is different. So I think more or less for me, it's just focusing on my process and the way I do things. I like a multi-set offense with defense. You just got to be physical. You got to make sure your run fits and everything.
Get to the ball.
Yeah, you got to make sure all 11 guys are hungry. So I think just with that in general, it's going to be a little different from what I've seen on film and stuff like that. They were more of an air raid team last year, where I want to install a little bit more physicality and stuff like that.
Run the ball a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying you like running the ball. What's your line looking like this year?
My line's looking good. As far as I haven't really got a chance to see everybody, coming in, getting the job in February. It's still haven't really got all my pieces. So I think it's still a process of training camp and seeing what I really have as far as that line. But, guys I've talked to, kids that I've been trying to recruit within the school, I think we're going to be pretty good.
What's your average size for the line? Got some big boys up there?
Yeah, we got some big boys. I think we're going to probably be in the 270, 290 range as far as poundage goes. And then the good athletes and the ones that are in the weight room and not doing like spring sports and stuff like that. We got a lot of track guys, throwers, runners. So just all those guys.
The track guys would be more wide receivers, though, right?
Well, no, we got a lot of throwers. We got a lot of guys,
big guys
competing for states and stuff for throwing.
Nice.
So it's good to see that multiple sport athletes are some of your best athletes. So it's always good to see those guys doing other things besides just lifting and football.
How about as far as obviously you got the job in February, so you've met with the team already, or some of the kids coming back, and you talked about recruitment. Do you feel recruitment's a big issue as far as number of players? I've seen some teams over the years where numbers are dropping in every sport, not just football. So how do you recognize that and get the student athletes that you already have to try and get more players?
That's just consistently try to push them to, try football if they haven't yet, or if the reason why they're not playing. Just trying to get them into a culture where, it's fun, exciting, it's hard working, it's a lot of demand, but the culture alone should kind of bring those kids that, may be on the fence a little bit into football. And then, excuse me. And also just, integrating with the youth. I think that's where it all stems from, because your youth is your feeder program. So, I've talked to Mike Baldwin a lot. Me and him have been having a lot of conversations for the Whitehawks. Just trying to incorporate the two schools. You got the high school and then you got the youth program, and how do we interchange those guys where when you're growing up you want to play for Attleboro football. It's not even a question. It's like, no, when I get to high school I know I'm playing football. So it's just doing stuff like that.
And that's a big thing, getting the youth involved, the youth leagues, because I've over the years I've seen less and less than that, where there's a big separation between the high school programs and the youth leagues, and mainly because egos get in the way, and I'm sure as a varsity football coach, you worked your way up the ranks, you've seen youth programs, and if they're not like you said, if they're not integrated, I mean, it's not only a feeder system, but it's also a learning system. When a kid gets to high school, he's a freshman, you're not taking that kid from day one and being, okay, we're going to make you a football player. He's going to have some basics if there's some connection with the youth programs. I think that's very important.
It is extremely important.
All right, we're getting ready to take our first break. Yeah, just under 50 seconds, and I've been trying to show Jacob how to do it without starting a fire on this board and actually do it the right way. So we're about 40 seconds out. But when we do come back, I want to add to Jim's question as far as what you're doing to apply yourself to the youth. If you could just tell us a little bit more. I know you said you talked to the president. How simple do you want to keep it? Do you want them to just get the terminology down first as they work up their way to your level? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then the other one was, as far as reaching out to more kids in the high school, do you have a plan B besides that initial interview you had with the kids coming back? Yeah. Are you looking to reach out to try to grab, another way to grab more kids, I guess. Like, yes. There could be kids in a weight room that want to play, but they might be too timid to reach out to you. Are you looking to have one more meeting on the kids that? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm just reaching. I don't know if I'm thinking of all these stupid ideas, and I don't know if you already had that game plan in mind.
No, of course. I always think that reaching out and having meetings where it's an open forum. I kind of let everybody know where we'll be at in the weight room, and just come talk to me. And if you want to try it, come try it. If it's not for you, that's okay too. I'd rather say if you try it and then you don't like it, that is more of at least you tried.
Right. He's Coach Penn. We're going to step back. The new football coach over at Attleboro High School. We'll be back with him and more right after this. Hey, welcome back, everybody, as we start the second quarter of our hour show. I might try to make this 2 hours. We should do something with 2 hours. But every time we do scores, by the time we edit it, Coach, the show's over. I mean, that's last week's games.
Yes.
Let's walk before we get out.
Exactly, right? I'm in my own way. I'm tripping myself as the words are coming out of my mouth. So, Coach, we talked about people reaching out to you, and let's talk about the youth system. What ideas do you have for the youth kids to make it easier to make that transition? I know you talked about talking to the president. Do you guys, it's your team. I mean, do you have any ideas how you can help the youth to get ready for the high school level?
Yeah, so the last 2 weekends, though, we had our first youth clinic as far as the Gridiron hosting. It was from 2nd grade all the way to 8th grade, was invited. And, we had good numbers, just getting them out there, getting them ready to go, getting them trying to ready for their seasons, and just kind of showing, my face and, the type of things that we will be doing at the high school level. So it was good. It was a good time. That was one, and then we plan on doing that throughout the summer, 1 day a week. And then, just doing things with the coaches, just meeting with the coaches, talking about culture, talking about, game plan schemes, how do you do a practice plan, and just different ways that can change up. Sometimes in youth, we get a little complacent as far as, doing the same things over and over again. Just how to mix it up a little bit and just give them a little different dynamic. And, our drill tapes have to look like our game tapes, so it's like that should transition no matter if you're in high school or the youth. So
that's the hardest thing, and Jim mentioned this in the lobby about sometimes you have these guys, they mean well. I'll try to say this as nicely as I can. They mean well, but what they do is they're like, look at me, I'm a youth football coach, not like, how can I make this kid play safer, have more fun, and actually apply it to the next level. Now, what advice can you give these youth coaches to not, a person's you can't take, a person's a person, they are who they are, but what advice can you give them so they can get these kids ready for you?
Player development. I think that's the most key thing as far as on a youth level, because, obviously you want to compete, you want to go out there and win. That's the results, but your process is player development when it comes down to being a youth coach. You only get them for a few years. Sometimes you go with them all the way up to 8th grade, but once they get to 8th grade, it's like you're pushing them off to somebody else, and it's just making sure that they're ready for that.
There you go.
Well, to piggyback off what you just said, Dom.
Yeah.
I've been involved in high school and in youth sports for majority of my life.
Let's say 40 years. 40 years.
So we'll call it 40 years, give or take a couple here or there.
Generously.
But I've noticed that, especially from an officiating standpoint, doing pop games. I still love doing pop games, youth leagues. I still enjoy it. Gets me moving around a little more. Gets me a little more exercise. But I've noticed, like the last few years, every coach thinks he's Bill Belichick.
Oh my God! That was my point exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's like you're here for the kids, like the coach just said. It's about development. It's about getting a kid in the right frame of mind to play football and moving to the next level if that's what the child chooses to do.
Yeah.
And sure, everybody wants to win. The name of the game is winning. We all know that, but. You're all not Bill Belichick out there, I hate to tell you.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And you put the kids first. Everybody gets excited during games. Everybody gets exuberant. Every coach at every level wants every single call. And, things are going to happen. But coaches, I think, at that level need to maintain a better decorum as far as, working with kids and dealing with officials and dealing with parents, and especially dealing with parents, because if you lose the parents, you're going to lose the kids.
Right. I've been humbled, even like I told you at the freshman level. I sit there and I see something will go down, they're rough, and I know these roughs, either, from the local area, whatever, and I'll sit there and I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry. Because I was a knuckle. Hey, what's going on? Oh, I'm so sorry. And why are you apologizing? I'm like, because I'm a jerk. I shouldn't have asked you that question. But you get humbled if you really want to be better at what you want to do. I think a little humility to add to your repertoire and look at. I think it also opens you up to look at the whole picture instead of having the horse blinders on.
Right.
Going back to working with the youth, and then you work with, again, you have the camps from when they're younger. You work through them in high school. Obviously, you want them to try and play at the next level. But outside of like football, real life lessons, what's one thing that you want them to be able to leave with, just knowing that you bettered them as a person?
The number one thing, and I learned this from Ian, is that your character speaks everything. If you have good habits, good thoughts, good priorities, that your character is most likely going to be a good person. So I think that's the biggest thing, making sure that our kids are going to be people of the community, interacting with the community in all different aspects, not just with the youth football, but just trying to get them involved. So, I mean, if anybody's listening and has some volunteer stuff, the football team's ready to go and participate, especially to represent Attleboro and be Blue Pride all the way,
I think that's awesome that you want to get your kids involved in the community. It's not just about education, school, and football, but being good citizens and getting them out there. And just by listening to you, you're putting out a tremendous example for your program and your kids in your school. Not just football players, could be all kids in the school.
Right, wait till we see the work ethic. I'm not going to be there. I'll be on the sideline. I won't be in there. I'll be watching.
Yes. Hard work always pays off.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, what position do you play again? I'm sorry.
So I played multiple positions. I mean, in high school, I was a corner safety, running back, wide receiver. So I was really on the athletic side. And then as I got older and slowed down a little bit, I moved more into the box. Still playing a little bit of running back and linebacker.
Right. So you were me. As you were deteriorating, you became a me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I just want to make sure we clarify that.
What are you going to take most from your previous experience as an assistant at different places and big into that job at Attleboro?
I think the thing I'm going to take the most is just everybody let me be me. All the coaches I've worked for, worked under, they all let me be me. And I think that's the same thing I'm going to do with my staff as far as let them be them, let them be good coaches. I put them in a position. Another thing I learned was, a head coach's job is not only just to coach a football team, it's to coach coaches. So,
Right.
I think
Right.
that's something that's
ex-
always resonates.
That's an excellent point. The head coach has got more responsibility than just what's going on in the field.
Well, he's got it all. This guy got everything. He's got to make sure that all the coaches are on the same page. This is just from what I've learned. You got to make sure all the medical forms are all set so they can get on the field.
Yes, that's the first
Because
thing.
you'll get in big trouble.
Yep.
Right? And the AD. What else is it? Then, you got to make sure you approve of their work ethics as far as what they want to instill in your kids, because that falls on you too.
Yes, it does.
Oh my God, I know there's like 97 more, but I forgot to write them down.
How much leeway do you give assistant coaches? I know it's your first head coaching job and you're getting your feet wet, but you talked about you're coaching the coaches too.
I mean, even as a coordinator, the guys that I had under me as far as positional coaches, you have to let them do what they do best, and that's, if they're putting in the work and putting in the hours and understanding what you're trying to get across. I mean, I think you're all on the same page, so it should be, you don't have to micromanage them. You can just let them kind of be the coaches and let them have their personalities and adapt their relationships with their position group.
Great answer. That's the answer I was looking for. I mean, I've seen a lot of coaches who are head coaches over the years that they want to be in charge of everything. And it's like, that's too much responsibility for one guy, especially in a game. And you got to let your coaches coach. You got to let your coordinators coordinate everything, and the guys under them coordinate with and have a smooth system going. And I think just by your answer, I think you got the right idea of how you want to run your program. That's awesome.
So I'm trying to look up. You might know this answer. We're getting ready to go on our next. We got like a couple minutes, but I'm trying to find out what number coach you would be. I'm trying to be smart, coach, but I'll admit I'm not the brightest apple in the tree. I was trying to figure out what number coach you would be in the history of Attleboro football.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to cheat and see if I can find
look it up.
But
Coach, your answer to that is number one right now.
that's right. Well, that's what it says.
Right now.
Right? Yeah. Right. But but I'm trying to, it's sending me back down to 1897. No, I'm kidding. But how many coaches there were? I was just wondering how you fell in the transition of the next, say, 13th, 15th coach. I'm not sure. Shame on me for not having that. But I didn't know if you knew.
No, off top rip.
That's all right.
You said you worked with the defense at Bridgewater, and we talked offense so far. You're going to go in there, again, like you said, defensive guy. What do you want to start doing with the defense side of the ball? How's your team looking on that side of the ball? We already talked about your O-line. What about, like, D-line, linebackers?
Again, I mean, like the athletes there, the skill positions are very heavy and very loaded. So it's just finding the other guys that, are going to contribute. I'm a one-way player for the most part, unless you have a guy that can really handle that type of load. But I think just safety and being ready for the grind of the season, the one-way player is the way to go. So, I mean, with the numbers that we have here at Attleboro, I mean, that's a little thing different than I'm used to, too, because, I mean, the schools I've been at been, smaller numbers, around the 50s and 60s, and, we're talking about 80 to 90 guys just from last year. So it's like, just trying to figure out and find, those type of players that you want to fit in your defense. And you won't see that until, camp starts, until we start evaluating these guys. You can watch film, but there's even some, sophomores that might play because they can play, so.
Numbers are very important. I mean, if you have, like you said, you've been in schools with low numbers, which makes it more difficult as far as, nobody's going to escape injuries during the season and stuff. So the higher numbers obviously is a benefit.
Yeah, the high numbers helps a lot. In case we pretty much everyone was a two-way player there, and that was tough.
Well, it's a small male enrollment though too, right?
It's a small school. Take shots of the pickle juice on the sideline, keep you from cramping up.
Yeah,
playing most downs, both sides of the ball. Yeah, hurting there.
So the new national, we have we already know we have a official to your left.
Yes.
So you as the coach, and I know you can clean this up for me. With the new NHSF rules, which have been implemented, is this our 5th year? Or am I saying, is it the 5th year?
Yeah, it's
rough guess.
4 or 5. Yeah.
What was the biggest thing for you to make a transition and using that as into your scheme, being an assistant coach, and how you're going to try to do it, or what do you think you can add with the new head coaching job?
Well, I mean, there were a lot of different changes, but I don't think it was nothing really enough to affect the way you coach. It's just, knowing some of those little rules that kind of change here and there. Nothing that sticks out to mind, but just knowing those type of things, of, where the ball be placed at this time, or, excuse me, just understanding those type of little rules that got changed. But other than that, I mean, rules are rules, and there hasn't changed much really since I've been playing. So it's like, just staying on top of those type of things.
It's funny you say that, Coach, about rules are rules. When we first went to Federation rules here in Massachusetts, we used to play on the NCAA rules. The biggest changes with Federation that I've noticed is timing rules, like when a 40-second clock starts, 25-second clock. Mostly the rule changes were basically Federation is very high on safety-oriented rules and stuff. Then those were the biggest changes. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was traveling to a game the first year, Federation rules. I was traveling with White Hat. I was going to be in the game, and he seemed kind of anxious about, signals and penalty signals. And I said to him, it's holding is still holding. Pass interference is still pass interference. It's still football. You're reading way too much into this. And this particular White Hat said to me in this conversation, well, there's 120-something signals, and half of them are changed. You're not a White Hat. You don't need to know that. Yes, I do. I'm still an official.
Yeah.
And I should know that.
Right.
And again, I said to him, you're reading way too much into this. Just football is still football. And that's the way I approached it when we changed the Federation. And all these years later, I'm still officiating football, and we're still pretty good at it, I think.
That's Jim Sylvia. We're going to get ready to take out. You just got to jump on this break. I'm sorry. We'll be back with Jim, Jake. I'm Dominic Damiano, the head coach over at Attleboro High School. Coach Penn will be back with him and more right after this. Hey, welcome back. You are listening to 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station. Sorry about that, guys. I should have cued you. I was trying to help out Jake. Show him how to not to start a fire over here.
Well,
And,
the coach and I were having a
I know you were. I felt bad. I cut it off.
and
I'm
we
sorry.
jump right into that. What we were just talking about.
Let's
we were
do
talking
that.
About the differences of
Please.
NFL, college, high school officiating, Pop Warner officiating, where the difference is high school and below, you get one look at it full speed.
Yeah.
And the coach brought up a good point, the targeting rules. You get one look at it as an official in high school. It's full speed, and you got to process all what you're looking at before you make the call, whether you're going to throw that flag or not. The NFL and college, they don't care because, and I hate to say that, but the officials know Big Brother's up in the stands with the cameras, and they're going to look at it frontwards, backwards, slow motion, fast speed, full speed, whatever, and they're just going to take their time. And in every call, every level as an official, in every sport, you want to get the call right. Yep. But in a high school game, a coach, I could be doing an out-of-ball game, and a coach would be all over me because I throw a target on one of his players. Again, I get one look at it at full speed. He may not agree with it because he's looking at it from a different angle.
Oh, that's so important.
And there's no big brother up there with the big cameras and, looking at what I'm doing, and we're going to fix it.
And right. I tell my kids that all the time. I always tell them when, if we're playing a 7-on-7 or something like that, and a ref makes a bad call, I'm like, guys, we don't have instant replay. It's the call, move on. I learned from Chris Papps, next play is the best play. Most important play in football.
And even officiating, he can be up and down me all night long about one call I made. My focus is the next play, the next snap. And I got to get my head straight, and what am I going to do as an official? Just like Coach Penn's got to look at the next play as a head coach. What are we calling? What are we doing? What's the down and distance? And that works both ways between officials and coaches. Everybody's moving on to the next play. It's easy to sit in the stands and tell me what a bum I am.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Heard that before.
Coach Penn can tell me what a bum I am if I'm doing any of his games. But at the end of the day, we all want to get it right. Coaches, players, officials. And I use this in my baseball classes, Don, when I teach umpiring classes. I say it in classes. Anybody a veteran official, anybody comes up to you and says they've never made a bad call in their life, give them my phone number, have them call me, and I'll tell them they're a liar. Because nobody's perfect. Players fumble, they miss tackles, they drop balls. Everybody's human. Officials are human too, and we make mistakes. Absolutely. Coaches are human too, and they might miss something along the way. Right. So it all goes hand in hand. And he has a job to do as a coach. Yeah. I have a job to do as an official, and we're in the same place at the same times, maybe some night. Yep. And we got to coexist. Right. And that's part of the game also. And I think it's a great point that he brings up, that he emphasizes to his players. Stay off the officials. That's the coach's job.
Right. He doesn't look like he wastes his time though. He strikes me as the person that if it goes down, it happens. Whether he agrees with it, well, actually, if he agrees with it, he's going to like it. But if he doesn't agree with it, he realizes he can't go back in time. He's just going to go with it. Even though probably in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what the heck was he looking at? I still, you know what I mean? But you got to keep on going.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, have a conversation. When that time's allowed, just, check with the ref, like, what did you see on that play?
Right.
I might have seen it differently, but it's, I always say, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar, so it's like you definitely have to.
I've heard that one 100 times over here.
You have to make sure you have that good rapport with the refs and stuff like that. So I think it's important. Like I tell my staff, like, you guys are not even allowed to talk to the ref. Like, that's my job, to talk to the ref and figure out what's going on. If I have a trouble with the call, that's fine. I can go there and I can talk to him and have a good conversation, and we're right back to the next play now.
Now, excuse my stupidity. Now, I know Jake was talking about the defensive side of the ball, and I think we touched a little bit on the NHSF side of it too. What's the biggest thing you're going to try to implement on that with your kids, as far as the biggest thing as an ex-defensive player? What are you going to try to instill just in the players, not just the coaches teaching the players, but what do you want to see happen with that?
Just in the players that it's more about the unseen hours, than anything. It's what you do in the dark. It's not what you do, when all the lights are on and stuff like that. That doesn't prepare you for that time. What prepares you is the stuff that you do, when nobody's looking and, there's no practice. Are you getting extra work on the fields when they're open? There's so many beautiful fields here in Attleboro,
Right.
go get some work. Go get that little extra rep. I always say you got to steal rep here and there. Just how do you steal reps? The attention to the reps that you are taking at those practices should be at full intensity. Just making sure that you're doing the right things to get to the point where you have that Friday night game, and it's just natural now. It's just coming as instinct.
Right. Now, who is it? So we're going to make sure you don't get in trouble for this Christmas. So do you have your coaching staff all squared away?
I have, yes, I have mostly everybody. I have a couple volunteers might be coming around, so I have the full, as far as paid and stipend staff together.
Well, let's give them a shout out so you make sure they, you don't miss Christmas and they don't get upset at you.
So I got AJ Grant, Dave Bartuka, Tyler McCroft.
Can you tell us where they're from, what their experience is, if that's okay?
Yeah, so my offense coordinator is AJ Grant. We actually played together in semi-pro. He coached me in semi-pro. He's actually the reason why I was over in Franklin as the youth coach. He's the president of the AYF for the one. I think it's Eastern Mass AYF. So you got him. He played at. He was a Norwood guy, so with him, another guy coached on the staff in Norwood with him is Dave Bartuka. He's my defensive line coach. Tommy Burns, who's an Attleboro alumni, who's been on the staff previous. He's coming back to stay on as a defensive coordinator. Tyler McCarthy, ex-player. Jason Ware, ex-player. And Quinnell Charles, ex-player. Then I got a couple other guys I played with. Corey Brown, who's going to be my wide receiver coach. Jason Patterson, who's another Attleboro guy. So got a nice little mix-up of guys that I played with. Rashawn Jones, I played with in Brockton. I'm trying to think who else. Kari Langham I played with. So got a nice couple guys that, some have to volunteer their time, and they're dedicated enough to this to football to do that.
Now, when you sit down and you talk to them, just to continue with the same question, I guess. When you're sitting down, you're talking to your guys, or the new guys, what's the right answer? What do you want to hear from them? What do you want to hear out of their mouth when you say, yes, I want that guy on my staff?
I think it just goes with their passion. A lot of people are passionate about it, and how do you bring that passion to the table? Are you a guy that is more of a me guy, or you could be passionate and still be a me guy, or are you about the program? Are you able to adjust? I think it's different when a new coach comes in. I've been in their shoes, so I kind of explain to them we will do things a certain way, but your opinion is valued, and that I will take every opinion and evaluate it, and see if it's something that we can apply, something that we can really help us with the program, because I'm not going to always make all the right decisions either. So you have to make sure that your coaches are feeling comfortable with talking to you and trying to make adjustments when needed.
Yeah, no, that's big, especially building a team culture. I know that's one thing you probably want to work on, being first-year head coach there, is building up a team culture. I think the most important thing about having a sport, one thing that I care a lot about up at my school, track team culture is the biggest thing for so many kids. How do you want to kind of instill a team culture that's yours with the coaches, keep the kids in line, keeps them working hard with their work ethic and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean nowadays, we have the Instagram and Facebook with all these reels, and you see a lot of great coaches that talk about it. We're starting to see more clinics come out and guys speaking, and the number one thing you hear is culture. That's the first and most important thing. If you don't build the right culture, your program's most likely not going to be successful. So with us, it's building those core values that we have, just making sure that we're putting in the effort that we need to. At every time that we have an opportunity to get better, we're taking the opportunity.
Getting back to the coaching staff, I think it's great that you have some guys from the community, yes, some guys who played and went to the school, yes, so they know how the school operates, and a few guys that you played ball with who are lifelong friends, and that's the part of sports and football, especially football, where people don't talk about is the relationships that over the years that guys you played with and coached with, and you put them on your staff. You can trust them.
Exactly.
You know how they think. You know how they look at the game, and that goes a long way. Without saying that, like you said, you're not going to make all the right decisions as a head coach, but at least you can have somebody in your ear going, "Hey, Coach Penn, maybe we should look at this differently," and and that's important. That's important in building a program.
Well, if they listen to them, like I said, if they listen to them, I've turned my mic on. I just adjusted the stand here, and I felt like I was a little taller or shorter than I actually am. So but as long as they listen to you, you can't play for them. We all know this. You can't play for these kids.
No.
It's a trust thing too. You got to hope they trust and they understand what you're trying to do. And you already talked about what you look for a coach, the passion. Their background. How has the high school been reaching out to you? The teachers, and not just the athletic director. Have you heard from the other teachers?
So I've heard from a few. I think the whole community has been awesome through this transition. I feel very supported, and I think there's a nice excitement that's coming for this season. And I'm just trying to hopefully live up to those expectations. Mr. Hu over there, the AD over there at that high school has been awesome, helping me, especially as a first year coach. There's going to be things that I need help with in transition, and from just being an assistant to a head coach, and he's been spot on and everything, always constant communication, and just trying to learn the way the school runs. That's a big thing
Right.
too, because, these kids are student athletes first. The first thing is that they're students. So just getting access, making sure we're trying to monitor GPAs, making sure behaviors are the right, we don't even want our kids tardy, if they're not, even if they're not in season, they shouldn't be tardy. They still should be in school.
That's Coach Penn. We're going to take our last break. Believe it, we're almost done with this hour. If you want, I know I only mentioned it a couple times. I apologize. 508-222-1320. We're going to finish up this hour with the new head football coach over at Attleboro High School. Coach Lamont Penn will be back with him and more right after this.
Welcome back to 1320 WARA on 4 Deep Talk Sports. We're here with the new head coach of Attleboro's football team. Said you had a question to start off with?
Coach, a question for Coach Penn. Just before the break, we were talking about, Don had asked about the administration stuff in school, and that's very important too. And it's good that they're supporting you, because the school's a community.
Yes.
It's not just an athletic program. It's not just an educational program. It's all meshed together. And if you don't have the support of the administration, like you said, how do you build a program if you don't have that support? And I think that's awesome that from the AD, the school administration, teachers all get involved, because you want everybody there on a Friday night. Doesn't matter if you're a student,
Exactly.
a parent, or just a fan of the program.
Yep.
You like to see the administrators at the games and
yes.
sport, and
Blue Pride, right?
everybody loves
Pride?
everybody
sir.
loves those Friday night lights. Right?
Yes, they do.
So I know we just talked. We also talked about between this last break about the 7-on-7 that's coming up, weight room, And if we could just elaborate, we don't have set dates yet on the 7-on-7, right?
Well, the 7-on-7, yes, that's going to be from July 15th all the way to the end of August, just before camp the last week. We're in the Warriors camp over at Medfield. Currently, we're in the Walpole League for 7-on-7. So, we're just competing every day. We're going out there, trying to get as many guys reps. I always say, 7-on-7 is fun, but it's, it's just a game that prepares us for the real stuff. So,
Glorified flag football is what it is.
yeah, I mean,
Speaking of the real stuff, do you have your schedule yet?
Yes.
Do you know who we opening up against?
So we open up against Durfee this year, from
Home or away?
away. So which is nice, get on the road and try to get those lumps out before we, open up at home. We do open up at home against Bishop Fiend, so that should be a very good matchup.
You're not making it easy on you, are you?
No, but the Hawk has always been, competitive league, and it's always going to be. And we're going to play a schedule that's going to make us compete every time.
Competition brings out the best.
Yes, right? It does. Then we go to Cumberland, Rhode Island. No, actually, we're home at Cumberland, Rhode Island. Then we're at Bridgewater, Rainham, which will be interesting. That's going to be a fun one.
Coach Bain, yeah.
Old stomping ground.
Yeah, and then we open up our Hawks schedule. So I mean, it's definitely like a good competitive. Especially now trying to get into the playoffs. I think that's one of our ultimate goals is trying to compete and make sure we're putting ourselves in that position to be in the playoffs and go from there.
Speaking of playoffs, I know we're jumping way ahead now, but speaking of playoffs, what's your feelings as a head coach on the MIAA ranking system and the playoff system that they use? Yeah,
I mean, the playoff system, it is, I think everybody's feelings is kind of neutral for the most part. There's things that people like about it and things that people don't like about it. I think there is a competitive edge when you get into certain schools and stuff like that, but you still got to be able to compete. And doesn't mean that you can't win, but I think, as far as the way that MIA is going about it, I mean, they're trying their best, and that's all they can do. We have to focus on things that we can control, and so whatever the landscape ends up being is the things that we just have to focus on our process and, doing the things that we have to do to get to that top level.
What a gentleman. I had so much stuff going through I complain to this kid all the time about this. Unbelievable.
The very first show.
Oh my God! You want to know what? You want to know why the veins are bulging out of my neck when about the stupid power rankings?
It's funny because, like, as an official, you don't really care about power rankings. No. I mean, I personally look at them once in a while, just because if I know I have a game coming up, if it's a team I'm not familiar with, I want to see where they rank, what they're doing, what their record is.
That's the sports guy in you, though.
Right. True, true. But it's I have my own feelings about the ranking system.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I mean, everybody's going to have their ways, right, but I think it's like, again, you have to just kind of go with the things you can control. I think they're trying to do the best that they're doing. There's always going to be something that's going to be, a disadvantage or advantage to some people, regardless of what you do in life.
I think when they went to this ranking system was to try and get more schools into the playoffs and increase the number of schools making the playoffs. And I think they've accomplished that. But, it's tough when you have schools with losing records and they're getting into the playoffs. It's not 100% fair is what I'm trying to say.
What a great ambassador for Attleboro High School football, this gentleman over here. He's been so humbled, and he's like biting his tongue. I was waiting for the blood or whatever come down from his I get so angry. I'm getting angry even thinking about it. I have to think about my long ride to visit my grandson, otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. Because I just don't think it's fair. I don't you know what I mean? I think I'm going to stop. I got to stop.
Well, like the coach said, there's good and bad in everything.
There is.
I mean, we can sit here and pick it apart all day long.
Oh yes, we could
do a whole show on it. But I mean, it is what it is. I think the intentions by the MIA would get more schools into playoffs to give kids more opportunities for playoff sports.
Not just in 3
football,
and 12. If you're 3 and 10, you don't belong.
Well, that's the negative side about it. That's the negative side about it. But it is what it is at this point.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It just ticks me off. This gentleman over here is a great ambassador for Attleboro High School and high school football over there, but He couldn't be any more humble if he tried. Would that make me his goppeldang or whatever they call it? Because he's the easygoing guy, and I'm losing my mind even thinking about what's going on.
Well, just meeting him today for the first time, you're right. He is a very humble man.
Appreciate it.
And I think he's very has his focus in the right spot to lead a high school program.
Yeah, I mean, I get all that from my mother.
I was gonna say, your mother's listening. Mom, you did a great job with this kid.
Yeah, my mother raised two good boys. So I take all the credit for her. She gave me my passion and gave me the drive of how go about life. So.
Absolutely, she did do. Oh boy, goodness! Oof, I'll tell you. That's why my mother didn't listen to these shows that much, especially when it was playoff shows. When we do our playoff bracket shows, she'll turn the radio off, turn the TV off. Dom's going to lose his mind again. Things that I can't control, things that we can't control, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's happening in baseball, too.
Yep.
Some of the teams in the baseball bracket, probably, you look at it as a fan, and you go, that team shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's what me and
like you said, they got a subpar 500 record, and why are they in the playoffs? But
I think you're trying to get my dander up. I think he's trying to get my dander up.
My first day.
No, I'm not. I'm just
right. Oh my
trying to
gosh!
Keep the conversation going.
Oh, you're doing a good job.
I get handed the baseball power rankings. We're going through them, and it's like, oh yeah, 1 loss, 2 loss, and they're below 500.
Why is Dominic's face turning red right now? Oh my! It's just unbelievable.
Let's get back to football.
Yeah, let's get back to football, Coach. I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh boy! So, do no fundraisers coming up for the football team, anything like that? I'm just throwing it out there. My mind's all over the place right now thinking about this.
Yeah, no, getting to know the Gridiron, and we have met a couple of times. I think we're all on the same page of trying to get as many fundraisers as possible. So, the clinic was technically one. So, the clinic with the youth was one. We'll do upcoming comedy night for the parents and members of the community, where they come out, enjoy some comedy, laughs, help support the Attleboro football team.
Let us know when that is, so we
can promote it. Yeah, absolutely.
We will. So just getting together with them. I'm just trying to. We'll do our typical gold athletics again this year, so that will be out. So you'll probably get a couple messages from kids and stuff like that. Try to get you guys to purchase some gold cards, get a good deal on some few things.
Right.
And then, just try to find different ways of fundraising. I think that's the key. And again, working with the Gridiron, they've been awesome, and we're all open to ideas, and we're all trying to work and collaborate together just to try to make this program successful.
So before I forget, for Jim, Jacob, myself, here, we're part of 4 Deep Sports Talk, the station lets us do our show here. We want to wish you the best in your upcoming season before I forget. And I know 1320 AM WARA, Jim Jones and his staff at he also helps out with AACS, the TV side. I know he wants to see you succeed. They want to see the best for Attleboro sports, Attleboro High School, because they do a great job covering the high school. Yes. And I want to make sure I get that out. But my last question, this might be the last question. Who are you looking forward to play this year? Is there a certain team on your schedule?
There's nobody I really look forward to. I mean, I think the BR game will be very interesting, because of the fact that, that's where I'm coming from, and, the relationships and community I've grown over there. I still actually currently work in the school system over there. So it's, I think that's be the biggest game for me as far as like emotionally and nerves and stuff like that, besides the first game. But I mean, I think we're just, getting back into the Hawk. I mean, I always know that the Hawk is always competitive.
Yeah, you didn't make it easy for yourself, Coach.
No, I did not. But
but competition brings out the best,
right? So I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. But I mean, the Hawk schedule, I'm really looking forward to playing to it as well.
Anybody you want to shout out before we forget? I know we mentioned the coach staff. He kind of touched on your mom. That might affect you on Christmas. Any other shout outs before we go?
Just to my kids, I love them. Appreciate you guys dealing with me and doing this endeavor, and the community of Attleboro. I just want to thank you for believing in me, and hopefully we put out the best product possible, and hopefully see you Friday nights.
And we lost how many seniors? I know we're jumping around. I told you that was going to happen.
I know I did. I think we were roughly around 10 to 12 seniors.
And they were starters, legit starters.
Yeah, for the most part, all of them that
Good.
I've seen. So, just trying to replace those guys.
A lot of holes to fill, Coach.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of holes. It's 10 spots, both sides of the ball. That's a lot of holes.
Half each side. But did you have a say in taking to facing Bridgewater Rainham, or is that kind of just a surprise to you, or do you like, I want them?
Oh, no, they were on the schedule last year, so I actually played Attleboro last year, and, one thing kind of stuck out to me. I was like, wow, they're really good athletes over there. So when the job actually opened up, and I was kind of shocked, and I was like, you know what, like, that's a great opportunity. Even talking to Coach Bain about it, I was very open with him when I was thinking about it, and he was just like, hey, that's a career job right there. So, I think it's just, being there and being part of that, it was just a little like, all right, so they're already on the schedule, so I know the rivals, the kids were talking trash to me as I was leaving, but it's all fun,
Again, Coach, all the best for
Appreciate it.
Jim Sylvia, Jacob Janicki. I'm Dominic Damiano. We hope you enjoyed this hour of four deep sports talk. Say it slower, Dom. As we had the distinct privilege of highlighting the new coach over at Attleboro High School, Coach Lamont Penn. We will catch you next time. Everyone have a fantastic weekend.